Leslie Stewart leads the Leslie Stewart team and has a tremendous amount of experience in the Las Vegas Valley and Henderson in particular. She is a local product of the Clark County School District and is a graduate of the original Las Vegas High School downtown campus and has earned her degree from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas in real estate, showing the degree in the background.
Yep.
This city is Leslie's home, and she has worked to help others find their homes for more than 2 decades. In fact, she's among the top 5% of agents in the Valley. The Stewart team has a process to help sellers prepare their homes for sale, resulting in offers over the average price and in less time than the industry standard. It's more than a job for their team. It is a passion for their real estate team. So, Leslie, thank you for joining and sharing your journey with us. To start off, can you share with us and the viewers, how did you originally join the real estate industry?
So my parents actually have history in real estate. They did property management. And so when I graduated from high school, I stayed and went to school at UNLV. And I thought, well, let me go ahead. I got my degree in real estate, which is definitely unique. A lot of people don't have a degree in real estate, but it did give me a good foundational aspect of the math and the calculations, how to run a business, how to actually read an appraisal. And so I did know enough that I did not necessarily want to start out in property management or really kind of forge that path. But I've definitely enjoyed being able to help people buy and sell homes, create real estate wealth. And now it's really a fun challenge to be able to grow and a team.
And after you graduated and you started in real estate, did you start off on your own, or at the time, did you join a team or join under someone?
Great question. So I originally, through the Lead Real Estate Institute studies at UNLV, was placed in a internship with a commercial mortgage banker. And so that I learned a lot of how to, interpret rent rolls and different return on investments and vacancy and occupancy rates. And so that was fun to be able to use some of those math skills that I actually learned in school and apply them in real life scenarios. And then I got married and we had kids. We had a couple kids. We had twins. And so I did some independent contracting or consulting for a little while, but a lot of kids. And so that was my primary occupation. And then I got back into real estate. My husband was in construction and in Las Vegas in 2008, 9, 10. It was not the optimum place to be in construction and or real estate. And so I went back and got my residential license or broker sales license here in Nevada. And then I went ahead and joined a brokerage and figured with the real estate, it would give me a good opportunity to really help provide the additional income our family needed at that time, but at the same point offered flexibility to be able to be present with my kids where I needed them, which yes and no, that's how real estate is.
Yeah, we all learned that. So whenever you entered the residential real estate space, do you recall where you received your first transaction from? Was it someone you knew?
Yes, so definitely first transaction was from Sphere of Influence. Like I said, it was 2010. The market here in Las Vegas was basically on clearance, and 95% of the properties were either short sale, bank owned. It was a really rough time to learn the industry, and it took a lot longer. I probably could have worked at Bath and Body Works and got paid more than I did in my first year of real estate. But definitely, you'll always remember that first transaction, I imagine. And so grateful for someone in my sphere of influence to trust me, not only to help, on a buy side, it was actually a seller side. So I was, learned a lot for sure, and grateful for the opportunity to be able to help them.
So fast forward from 2010 to now 2024, almost 2025. How did you go from such a very hard time in real estate to now a very successful team?
It's just one day at a time, right? You eat the elephant one bit at a one bite at a time. But I think you have to recognize in this industry that you can't anticipate coming in and like it's just a steep learning curve and to do it right, I think. So I believe you want to build a strong foundation and set realistic expectations on what your real goals are to accomplish a business that's going to uh, have a lot of longevity. I think the only consistent thing in this real estate market is the market is always pivoting and changing with things that are well outside of your field of expertise or things that can control. You can't control all the foreclosures or short sales, the interest rates, an NAR lawsuit. There's always going to be some great thing that's going to be, given to us that we're going to have to navigate. And so I think having the emotional intelligence to know how to fortify your business to make it, solid and know that you've got a good foundation and that's not going to disrupt at the end of the day.
So, can you share what the current structure of your team looks like? How many agents do you have, and do you have any supportive staff?
Yes. So again, always evolving, always changing. As of today, we have, I think, 5 licensed agents that have affiliated with our team and very excited. A few of them have been with us a little bit. Some of them are brand new agents. And then we've got a handful of experienced agents that are onboarding here for a opportunity in 2025 that I don't think they had received elsewhere. I have a full-time ops manager who is definitely helping move the needle of the team forward well. And one of those agents on the team, she acts as our sales ops manager, which helps keep the accountability for the team. And then ancillary, some marketing people, some video people that we help sprinkle in the sparkle for the Stewart team.
I love that sprinkle in the sparkle.
Yeah.
And so, if you were to look back in 2024 or recent years, where would you say the majority of the team's business comes from? Is it a mixture of SOI, past clients, online leads? What does that look like?
Yeah. So I guess kind of as how I built the team, I built the team based on probably like most agents, which I think is kind of the hard aspect with where I think key technologies comes in. So I'm guessing 90% of team builds start off with a single agent. They have a good sphere of influence. They get overwhelmed. They have too much. They still want to service their clients at a high level. So they start bringing on a buyer's agent, a transaction assistant, some kind of a back end help. But then I think the thing that I wanted to really focus on is knowing that I don't want to build a team that I'm necessarily the rainmaker and it all depends upon me and my sphere of influence. I really want to bring on agents to build their businesses as well, but I can't do that just with my sphere. I want to be able to help teach them how to use these systems and processes to fortify their sphere, to also, I know, let's be honest, in this day and age, these leads are something that all these agents are looking for. And so it's definitely a lot different than when I was licensed and they gifted me a phone book in the bullpen and a phone book with some, scripts on it. So I think it's just so different. And I just can't imagine if I would have had that technology in 2010 that I have now. I mean, it's really, I think, a lot of fun to be able to go through some of these leads that come in or some of your sphere and see like who's playing with some of those emails that have gone out, who's opening things, who's responding to stuff. It just, and that's the challenge. I feel like a lot of agents still feel like these are cold leads because they come in some type of an online platform, but let's be honest, you're only as good, your leads are only as good as your follow-up is at the end of the day.
Yeah, that is the truth. And so, can you give us an overview of the technology that you use to support your business, starting off with your CRM and then going into things like your website, and then maybe even you mentioned like online leads, if you're open to sharing those various sources.
Sure. So I have Follow Up Boss as the CRM. So this is definitely, um, I think, making sure you have a solid CRM that you actually know how to work and you work it is important, right? That's the any real estate, Facebook page, what CRM you using, and the answer is the one that you're going to use, right? But I think higher level, there's definitely some different aspects. And for me, Follow Up Boss has been amazing. I came from some, way too complicated to way too you get what you pay for type of a situation. And so this is very easy to use, user friendly. It flows very well between, the things that you want to do. And what I love the most too is that it integrates well with a lot of different softwares. Like they just definitely focus on that CRM portion, which I don't think a lot of, and I understand there's a lot of technology, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of zaps, and like it's way over my head for sure. That's why I hired Key Technologies. Let's be very honest. I have to know what my skill set is and what's the highest and best use of my time. But we spent so much time acquiring these leads that we need to be able to cultivate them. And that's what the Follow Up Boss system does in the CRM. Lead sources, though, I have Ylopo, which hosts a website. They do my lead generation as well through pay-per-click. They'll help navigate the LSA leads that come in to make sure that those get picked up on phone calls. But I really have leaned in mainly to Ylopo leads that have come in. Um, but again, when I've got the agents, definitely their sphere. I think those Ylopo leads that come in, which they're a longer term, nurture on it. But again, they're kind of less than maybe a Zillow, but more than a Facebook lead. They're a good like middle ground. And then, I still want those agents to be out there either doing some circle dialing, doing some open houses, some type of a active aggression to be able to acquire, I guess, active acquisition of leads to be put into Follow Up Boss to nurture. But really, I think the secret sauce is the Key Technologies drip systems and actually knowing how to utilize that in your Follow Up Boss. And that's where I think I've seen a lot of agents, they get all these tools, but the challenge is for a team lead, I feel like myself, who comes in with our sphere. I didn't grow up doing pay-per-click leads. It doesn't speak to me, like trying to set up automations, and it gives me anxiety. So being able to affiliate with Key Technologies has been really, I think, a game changer for the business. But I think too, I can see how this like there's a system and a process and it makes sense to me and I can see how the progression goes.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. How long have you been using Follow Boss as your CRM?
So I acquired affiliated with Follow Up Boss probably 2021, I think, is when I started working with them. And, I am not a super quick adapter, so that's probably my Achilles heel, just personally. But, kind of forced myself to, get those leads in there. And two, for me, who has such a my book of business is my sphere of influence. And then you've got these leads, like I really had to like recognize like it's okay to put them all in one system because I didn't want like my sphere of influence leads to get tainted by these like riff-raff pay-per-click leads. But knowing like with all the tags and the stages, that is what I think forces my hand to make sure like, oh, okay, so I can logically see how this works. But I think it was really the onboarding with the key technologies that really forced me to to categorize those people correctly. I had them all in there, but they weren't really like being worked well.
Hmm. Can you remind me, how did we originally get connected?
How did we get originally connected? I probably would say a Facebook group. It would be my, oh no, I know what it was. I know exactly what it was. I went to a YLOPO conference and JD Reese with Genuine Realty in St. George spoke. I sat next to his team. They had their laptops open, and one of the agents was showing me their smart lists and what they do. And I'm like, wait, what? This is like revolutionary. How did you set all this up? Because again, to me, creating those drip campaigns, understanding how those like different triggers work in the automations, and here's email one that goes out on this day, here's the task call this, anyhow, like just exhausting. But he kind of went through it and spent a little time with me. I did a follow-up call with JD, the actual owner of the team, and um, you know, he shared, he's like, listen, I'm not even gonna tell you the secret sauce, like as much as I want to I connected with Elena Key, and she's the one who really like set this all up. And I'm like, all right, well, like the wizard behind the curtain, let me go talk to the great Oz. So that's where we got connected, and it's really fun to be able to reciprocate. I actually had a intern this summer who licensed in St. George where he's at, and during the summer while she was getting her license, we put her on the phones. We had her go through Follow Up Boss and YLOPO and do push listings and kind of learn some of the basics. And 2 months after she licensed in Utah, last week she just closed her first home. So it's, I think, super gratifying for both of us to be able to see how these systems and processes really monetize and create a lot of change in people's lives, not only the buyers and sellers that we work with, but really the agents on our teams.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. Yeah, JD's an awesome person. I've had the opportunity to talk with him a few times. He's got lots of energy. He's got a young team, if I remember. He
Yes, they
he's really
they
proud of.
are they're a hoot. They're out there like skateboarding
Yeah.
and all kinds of golfing and doing stuff. So they're
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, they're all younger than me. I feel old compared to them.
Yes, trust me. Like when I think of real estate agents and you think like the average age is, I think like 60-ish or something like that. I'm getting closer to that than I want to admit these days, but nonetheless, like it's I think with this technology, it's a younger person's game, which is kind of refreshing if they show up.
Yeah, so you've mentioned a couple of different things here and there with Follow Up Boss. You mentioned some smart lists, some drip campaigns, tags. Can you give an overview of what your current setup looks like in Follow Up Boss? What it looks like when you log in? How does your workflow look like in Follow Up Boss?
So I will give it to you from the agent perspective, because me as the team owner probably is not the best example, right? Like do as I say, not as I do sometimes. But what we do have, we've got the smart lists that are implemented from the key technologies, which I love because as an agent logs in every day, like their just job is to go through those like seven, eight. If you can make it through all 10 of them, great. But again, it's kind of what's in escrow, what do you need to like address this morning? What's your inbox look like? What are new leads that have come in that you've claimed that haven't called? Like really, you shouldn't claim call unless you can call them. And then if you didn't get in connecting with those people, then they go on to your next list. Who's, been connecting with the AI technology, with the texting? Who's gone through and raised their hand or looked at something on the website? Who's gone through and looked at something on your sellers list? So honestly, as long as you can like clear those smart lists off consistently, but I think for me as a team lead, I've had some agents that, they can go and clear them off really well because they can just like make the calls. But I think it's always making sure you like audit those as well and going a little bit deeper, which is where, I don't know, I was watching something on Facebook. And so it's just kind of like you really have to like diagnose and check in the health of your CRM as those people come through. So you really want to do a deeper dive and make sure, are those people set up on the drips correctly? Do they have it staged correctly? Have you checked to make sure their email and phone number, like, are they only responding to they're responding to emails, but maybe their phone number is incorrect, or vice versa. Um, do they have a seller report? Do they have a search set up for them? So, you know.
And can you recall, I was trying to figure it out when I was looking at your profile. How long have you been using the key technology setup in your Follow Boss?
So we started with Key Technology probably a little over a year ago, like summer of 2023, I believe. Maybe 22, I don't know. And yeah, I think summer of
Yeah,
23.
23.
And so I think really it just makes more sense for the agents too, so they know what to do with them and kind of see a little bit more of a workflow. I feel as a team lead, you can help the agents understand, here's where you get, your leads that come in, and you try to have conversations, then you have conversations and you make appointments, and then you go and you sign paperwork, either a listing, BBA, escrow, and then, closing. So it's kind of like those steps, but it's in that conversion process to know who do you really want to spend your time on. And that's where I feel a lot of times we have agents that they get enamored because there's somebody that kind of raises their hand, but they aren't really like moving forward in the process. And so I feel it gives them permission to just let the systems work the systems, because your job is to make sure like your next 10 people, they're like moving forward, and you can release it mentally and just know like the systems are there and they're going to like fail safe. That's your fail safe. They'll come back when they're ready, because you need to make sure you're like putting your time into the people that are actually going to transact, instead of trying to force somebody who's waiting until after the election, and now they're waiting until after the holidays, and now they're waiting until spring. And they're always going to be some situation, but when they are ready, you've already got these systems in place that you're calling them once a quarter, you're got some drip campaigns, you've got some things, so you can see if they're like coming in on the back end to actually monetize and become a transaction sooner than later.
What has the adoption been like within your team members with the setup?
It's really easy, I think, to do. It's just you do have to inspect what you expect, kind of a situation. So I think having those accountability meetings, but they have to understand, you know, the process a little bit. And this is what I do understand, that with adults, it's not like you're 5 and you can, this is what the letter A sounds like. This is what it is. As adults, we want to see a little bit more of the why. And so that's where I try to make sure I help them understand, this is why you want to spend, an extra 10 or 15 minutes maybe on this particular list or this particular pond. This is what you want to look for. Somebody that's recently looked at something that maybe they responded to one of the texts on it. So I think having that with the key technologies has been instrumental to be able to, I kind of equate it to like CSI. So you have to really go in and do some detective work and like pull them out. So I feel like it's just a tool that we have. And as much as, I think that's I can get stuck in perfect and not done versus, done is better than perfect. And so I knew what I love with working with key technologies is the drip systems that you have and the emails. You are amazing that you do spend time, and your intake form wants you to go through your YouTube videos, your social media, your content. So those emails that are going out are not like a canned email that every other realtor has. It has a video, it has your face on it, it has your content, it has you, because that's what these online leads are really looking at. So that's refreshing, first of all. But at the end of the day, I don't know, you can, it's just to see if they're opening those emails. But you have to have something intriguing enough that they're actually going to like do a little bit more research. And every email should have something clickable on it so you can see if they have like the next level as well.
Yeah. And you've touched on this a little bit, but now that you've been using this setup for about a year and a half, what sorts of results have you and your team seen with the setup? Whether it's your team members have been able to streamline the workflow, know exactly who to call, or you've been able to not only see activity, but also see people actually responding. What sorts of results like that have you seen with the setup?
Well, I think for the agents, it gives them some stability and some confidence too in the system, and their pipeline is being built. So it takes time to understand, to see, and to have some, faith in it, but you have to also like work it well, because you can't just make 5 phone calls a week and anticipate that it's the system that's not working. I think it's you who's not working, to be honest. So you really have to be like honest with it. But the agents that have really leaned into it, they, I think, definitely appreciate the technology stack. Like I couldn't imagine, and I don't know, I just did a video myself that, what did I have for my CRM? Do you want to know what I had? I had like note pages with all these different people's names on it, all over the place, stickies, like what you can't, like, we can only handle so much. And so being able to adopt the CRM, understand the drip systems and the lead sourcing that's coming in, and who those people are. I think lead source has kind of a different voice too, but it's kind of a triple threat. And honestly, we have an agent on the team who just put a $1.6 million client under contract. So that's a huge win to know that it does work. But you have to know how to work it, because I think I've started with Ylopo and Follow Up Boss originally. I mean, I tried to lean into the systems as much as I possibly could, go to the conferences, join the Facebook groups, head onto those like office hours. I didn't have all these like drips really like dialed in. And again, as a team lead with really, I'm busy with my own sphere and people that come in naturally, but at the end of the day too, I know my kids' college tuition is going to be paid because I know how to work my systems, and I'm going in there and auditing the files periodically when I get notifications, and just giving them extra suggestions of like, hey, check this. This one probably could use some phone calls, like monitor this one for the next 10 days because they're lighting up on the back end.
Leslie, as we wrap up this conversation, I'd love to hear, I'm going to put you on the spot. You may have to think about this last question. I'd love
Yeah.
to hear of one strategy that you've implemented in your either personal business or in your team that's had some type of impact on your business's growth. It doesn't have to be technology related, just some type of impact, whether it's your management of your team, your leads, client retention, or overall business growth. What is one strategy or tip you've implemented that has had an impact in some way?
I think it's making sure you get into the right rooms with the right people, because the people that you surround yourself with are the people that are going to elevate you or pull you down, especially in these changes in the market. I'm very grateful for the coaching systems that I've had, grateful that Ylopo and Follow Up Boss are very big in doing events and creating opportunities for us to connect. I would still be waffling around if I wouldn't have gone to that Ylopo conference, if I didn't have people like you who I can use as a resource. I cannot do it all on my own. I don't think any agent can do it all on their own at the level that they should for themselves, for their clients. It's just, it's a lot. It's a different game than when my parents, were running things out of, their Zillow was an MLS book. So I think knowing how to adapt and change, but if you're with those right people who are in the cutting end of the industry, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be fine. And you don't get sucked into all the daily drama that can happen because that's just a given. You just have to know who to affiliate with to rise above. And in my opinion, any challenge that comes across, you have to find the opportunity in any challenge because that is where money is made.
Yeah, I agree fully. Anytime I go to a conference that has the right people in the room, it makes a big difference with not only just refreshing, but new ideas and new friendships that are lifelong and new ideas and innovative ideas. They make a big difference for the year for me as well. So that was a really
Definitely.
good tip. Leslie, thank you for joining me today and thank you for sharing your journey with your real
For
estate
sure.
team. I appreciate your time.
Likewise.